So the second round pick, one that kind of shocked us with people like JOK on the board projected in the first round with, some guys that we were both very fond of, some receivers. But, I honestly didn't know much about him before, but after they picked him, after I watched a little bit of tape, this guy's exciting. He's also he's an exciting prospect, and very similarly to Penei Sewell, dude has raw talent in spades. Levi Onwuzurike. Oh my God. Onwuzurike. Why am I not saying this right?
Onwuzurike. That's how I've heard it pronounced.
Onwuzurike. That's what it is. I have it spelled wrong here. I did it with a W instead of a Z. Okay, Onwuzurike makes way more sense. Levi Onwuzurike. He's 6'3". He's 290. The 290 part is somewhat of a concern. I've seen.
So I guess it really depends on where they envision him, because if he's kind of playing the like Trey Flowers role where he's almost more of like a big defensive end or like interior pass rusher, then I think his size is pretty apt for that.
That's fair.
So it depends on if they see him as more of, one of those guys or one of the more interior guys.
I think you and I are in agreement that he's not going to be used as a nose tackle in his defense. No, That was such an odd choice in Washington. And Washington is, that's not it's not an organization you can scoff at. Washington, what were you doing? It's just interesting.
I think it just has to do with kind of, just how they've always ran their defense. Like, they don't really have the traditional expectations of a nose tackle. Like, he's not there to eat up blocks and stop the run necessarily. Like, he might be more of an athletic guy that's supposed to pass rush. So I think he kind of already has some of that pass rush background.
Yeah, yep. And so the name of the game with this prospect here is QB pressure. Lots of his tape, if you watch his tape, he's just a disruptive player. He's a bit of a project with some things, but like if you watch his highlights, wow, he can just use his speed and strength, especially considering his size, to just break into the backfield. And he's fast in pursuit too. That's the thing, is like he can chase down those guys. He can chase down the Aaron Rodgers, and he can chase down those quick guys who usually have a bit of escapability. He can shut them down. He pursues well. And he just shows flashes of brilliance. I think that's the best way to put it with this guy. Is he shows flashes where you see him and it's just, you're like, that's a first round talent right there. That is a first round talent doing that. His biggest asset probably is his speed. His speed and the strength for his size just sneaks into the backfield, gets pressure. In terms of criticism with him, he wasn't very productive. And again, though, we've already talked about this. That might have been more had to do with kind of the mishandling. He wasn't necessarily lined up in the way that would have been the most productive for him. He's used as a nose tackle. He's more that kind of, like you said, Ryan, that big pass rusher, maybe interior defensive lineman who likes to get after the QB.
Yeah, no, I like this guy. I thought it was a strange pick, especially with JOK on the board, but the D tackle wasn't not a team need. They could have used a D tackle. Another guy out of the Pac-12 that seemed to be a common theme for the Lions in this draft, drafting 4 Pac-12 players. But it keeps the big guy theme going, and he's quick for his size. And Lions need lots of help on defense.
If I'm not mistaken, he ran a sub 5-second 40, I think.
I have it right here. He ran a 4.86.
Yeah, and that's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think between, and obviously we'll talk about Aleem McNeil in just a second, but I think between those two, they got some guys that they believe will just kind of be able to just cause a lot of havoc with these athletic traits. And I'm really excited to see how this D line kind of develops, and how fun would it be if the Lions had one of the most fun young up and coming D lines.
Yep.
Because we're also waiting to see how Julian Okwara is going to play. Romeo Okwara, we got him to. I think this D line does have some potential that we haven't seen since 2014.
Yeah, and when you draft guy like that's what this defensive line was missing as well. It was kind of that explosive athlete because they were not productive. They couldn't get to the quarterback or to the quarterback. But again, that was the Patricia scheme.
Right.
Like getting to the quarterback was not a part of the Patricia scheme.
Yeah.
And now that they're kind of changing to realize, oh, in the National Football League, you need to pressure the quarterback. And it's kind of sad that it took an organization that long to realize it, but I'm glad they're finally turning the corner on that. When you get guys like Onwuzurike, it's specifically to get to the QB.
Yeah, and I think guys like Trey Flowers, I really wonder like how much more of a future he even has with the team, because like you said, he's kind of geared towards more of that Patricia type defense, where it's kind of like big, stop the run, and I guess kind of just defend against not necessarily like doing these crazy stunts or blitz or like having a lot of athleticism. It was kind of like these big bodies to eat up space and
yep. And that's actually kind of one of the weaknesses of Onwuzurike as well. He's not a run stuffer. I mean, that's fair. That I don't think it's not everyone can do everything well, but he's just not a run stuffer. He can't control gaps, especially if it's if he's double teamed, he's done. That was one of the problems for sure. But again, he's drafted as pass rusher. He's not going to be put in these 3rd and 2 stuff the run scenarios. He's going to be put on the field when you need to pressure the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Right, and who knows? Maybe he can kind of add it to his repertoire some more, even if not necessarily like plus run defense, and maybe he can become just a league average or maybe a little bit above.
And he has the strength to do it. That's the thing. He has the strength and the athletic profile to become average or even a little above average as a run stuffer. It's just currently like I couldn't tell. It was kind of hard to tell in the tape because it happened so often, but he just couldn't control the gaps. He couldn't fight through those double teams. And it's unfair to ask a player to fight through double teams. I understand that. But you got to expect at least a couple of times where you at least give a little bit of a fight. And it just seemed like he gave up when he got double teamed. But again, the most important thing for here is he's a pass rusher. He's an athletic guy. He's fast. And like you said, Ryan, I think there is a very reasonable case where he becomes a league average pass protector. Or excuse me, run protector. Good Lord. And another weird scout comment I found that I just found funny. He has really skinny ankles. Although he said balance didn't seem to be a problem. So skinny ankles, balance isn't a problem. So that's Onwuzurike, pass rusher. Has a little bit of flaws. He can improve it, though. And I love this pick. Again, another pick I love.